Good morning, friends. So this first video is going to be a little bit shorter, and it's going to be an explanation of the packet that you have for Stout-Hearted 7. And we're going to go ahead and fill in that first page together. So if you open up your packet, you'll see that the first question asks us to start listing the characters, their names and ages, and then some traits. And remember, traits are things about the person that makes them unique or special. We all have traits that make us who we are. Sometimes traits are physical, what we look like. I have blue eyes. I have brown hair. Those are traits that I have. And sometimes traits are how we act, how we are inside. There are our personality traits. Okay, so today we're not going to focus so much on their physical traits. We're going to mostly think about how they are as a person. Now, I want to remind you, this book is based on a true story. This is a true account. These people that we're talking about are real people that lived, and so we are talking about their traits. Okay, so think about that. What would somebody say about you if they were going to write a trait about you? All right, so let's get started. Have a pencil. The first character that we meet, oh, I forgot to tell you this. You may need to pause the video if I go too quickly and you don't have time to write. I don't want the video to go super long, so I'm going to kind of move quickly through them, but feel free to pause it at any time and catch up and then play it again, okay? All right, so the first character that we meet in the story is Catherine. Now, the book is written basically with her point of view. So on this first line, I would like for you to write Catherine. And she is, in the story, it tells us that she is 8.5. Now, from what we read yesterday, we can tell that Catherine is helpful and kind. Do you remember when it talked about how she helped her younger sisters get dressed? Okay. And she was always helping Ma with different things. All right. The next character that we meet is Henry Sager. Now, Henry is the papa. He's the dad. Okay. We don't really know how old he is yet. It might tell us later in the book. I can't remember. But some of his characteristics is he's anxious. He's very anxious to get over to Oregon. And he also is adventurous. He always wants the next adventure. Okay. The next character that we meet is Naomi Sager, and she's the mama. Okay. She is kind and caring. Okay. She's got a very soft heart. She's very kind and caring, Naomi. All right. Now we start meeting the other Sager children. Okay. The oldest brother is Frank Sager, and he's 11, it tells us in the story. And Frank is responsible, but he's also a trickster. He likes to pull tricks and be kind of the funny guy. So would you be like Frank? Do you have the same trait? All right. The next character that we meet is John Sager. Oh, I apologize. Frank is not the oldest. He's the 11-year-old. He's the trickster. Okay. John is the oldest. Sorry about that. John's the oldest. He's 13.5. And he's responsible and brave. Oftentimes, oldest children in the family are a little bit more responsible. They have a lot more responsibility being the oldest. So he carried on that role. Okay, so John's the oldest, and then Frank, and he's that little trickster guy. All right. The next child that we meet is Elizabeth, and she's 6. And she's a little bit slow and a little clumsy. Do you remember in the story it talked about how she was old enough to help with getting the younger ones dressed, but how Catherine would have both of the other ones dressed before she even had her own clothes on. Okay, so that's Elizabeth. All right, Matilda. She's 4. She's a little bit sickly. She had that big lump on her leg, and she isn't the strongest physically, but she's 4. That's Matilda. And then the youngest is Louise, and she's 2.5. And she's a little bit demanding. Do you remember yesterday when we were reading and it talked about how she was in her crib and she was demanding, she wanted to get out, get help dressed. So she's a little bit demanding. Now, these bottom 2 characters are going to come up a little bit later. We have mentioned Dr. Whitman in the first chapter, but we haven't mentioned Mrs. Whitman. So don't write those ones yet. These are the ones that you want to have written so far. So these are the characters we know: Catherine, Henry, Naomi, Frank, John, Elizabeth, Matilda, and Louise. All right, my friends, that's going to be all for this video, and then I will do the next reading in a little bit, and I'll post that. But have this filled out, and then you will be ready for chapter 2. All right, my friends, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.